Hi everyone, welcome to Swoop and GoProposal and Gravitate's little podcast. I've got some absolute superstars with me today who probably need no introduction, but I'm going to get them to give you a bit of an introduction anyway. So first off, we've got James Ashford from GoProposal and Sage. So James, for those minority of people that don't know who you are, can you just give us a bit of background into you and GoProposal and what you're going to do next?
Yeah, sure. So my name is James Ashford. I'm the founder of GoProposal. Previously, prior to me setting that up, I'd had a business that had failed, and then I kind of worked with many businesses to really help them to grow more profitably. Met an accountancy firm, solved the problem for them, and it was through that GoProposal was born. And the reason why I feel so passionate about it is because not only does it enable the accountancy firm to grow more profitably, but it allows them to ensure they're giving all the value they possibly can to their clients and getting paid for it fully. So therefore, they're helping them to invest fully into that finance function and hopefully help them to avoid the mistakes that I made with my failed business because I didn't invest at that level. And I've written a couple of books as well.
Love that. I'm sure we've all read those as well. Thank you. We'll dig into a little bit deeper into GoProposal and what the value it gives for accountants in a second. But Mike, you're here because you're a user of both Swoop and GoProposal. And just because Gravitate are a fantastic accounting firm and a great example for everyone. There we go. Tell us a bit about you and Gravitate and what's been going on, what your biggest challenges at the moment.
Yeah, so like you say, my name is Mike. I'm from Gravitate Accounting. So I'm probably one of the typical stories that we hear all the time. You know, work for previous accountancy practices where not as forward thinking, don't do things as different as what we're trying to do here. So with that in mind, 4 years ago, Sam had set Gravitate Accounting up, and then quickly after, 6 months later, I joined him to really sort of push the business forward. I'm an avid user of GoProposal, massive ambassador of the software, and we're scaling really, really quickly. And with that in mind, it's really down to us, you know, selecting the right tools, the right partners that we work with. Like I say, GoProposal and Swoop have been, you know, instrumental in sort of how quick we've grown. So we sort of find ourselves here 4 years later. We're a team of 20, growing to 21 now, expanding the office, and everything's all exciting at the minute.
It's quite a big deal, that, Sam, that they're expanding the office, because I went yesterday and I've not been there for a year. I'm like, where's the wall gone? Like, they have literally smashed through the wall to kind of expand their team and their office. And I just love, you know, working with people like Mike who are running through walls with what they're doing.
Literally, yeah. The funny thing is that there's 2 core values on that wall as well. and we was in a meeting, we got the news down here yesterday, James, and we had a meeting where we was trying to write down our core values, and then Sam had accidentally forgot one of them, and was like, good job I remembered one of the core values that we knocked off the wall.
James, you obviously know Gravitate quite well. I was going to ask Mike this question, like what has been the key to your growth? Because you are breaking boundaries and you are breaking walls, and your growth, though, Mike, over the last since you started. Because let's face it, you started at a pretty difficult time in the economy. But James, I'm going to ask you first because you know these guys quite well. What do you think? Where do you see these guys as being different, and what do you think's made them be able to grow and scale so quickly?
I think because they've started relatively recently in the grand scheme of things, they don't necessarily have a legacy of getting things wrong, and that's one of the biggest issues I see when I go into firms that have been established for however many years. It's the legacy problems that's holding them back, and the fear of going back to existing clients and repricing them or changing the way that the staff should be dealing with the clients, where these guys don't have that issue. But I think the big thing about them is that they're open, and they're like, if I was to work with a business, I would need them to be coachable. And the businesses that are coachable are the ones that will grow faster. And what I've come to understand that term to mean is, are you open to the fact that you're wrong? Are you open to the idea that your current thinking is wrong? And not only that your current thinking is wrong, but it's always been wrong. Like, that's what coachable means, which means to be challenged, to be open to a different way of doing things. You know, and I've been and seen these guys a few times now, and that's what they are. They're open. They're looking for better ways for doing things. And a good phrase that would sum that up is, they're more interested in what's right rather than who's right. Yeah. So I'll go and speak to firms. There'll be one person here or a person there, and they're more obsessed with being right and them being right than us finding the right answer. And because these guys are like that, they're much more entrepreneurial. You know, they're much more aligned with their clients because they're thinking like a business. That's the key thing, rather than thinking like a traditional accountancy firm. And the other thing is so how many years you been going, Mike? 4?
4, yeah.
Yeah. So you get some firms and they're like, we've been going 100 years. That's like, they'll have it on their front of the website. We're a 100-year-old accountancy firm. And he was like, yeah, but you got it wrong in year 1 and you've just repeated that first year 100 times. Whereas you can have a firm that's 4 years old, but they have evolved rapidly every single year and are really growing very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think a huge part of it since working with you guys, I've been working with you guys a couple of years, is definitely my mindset. You guys are always open to ideas, and you do genuinely listen as well, which I think is unusual. You don't always think you're right, like James said. I think I've loved every minute of working with you, and I know this podcast isn't just blowing smoke up your backside.
Keep it going.
But what would you say, Mike? I know it's not all been laughter and rainbows along the way. I know you've had plenty of setbacks as well, but is that part of what's got you to where you are today? Is that resilience?
Yeah, of course it is. Like you say, it's not all perfect. How you get to where you get to. I mean, look at GoProposal getting to that sale. I'm guessing there's been a lot of warts along the way, but you got there in the end. And I think that's the key thing, is knowing that you're constantly pushing yourself forward all the time and sort of picking yourself up pretty quickly off the back of it. And I think it doesn't hurt us as much if we try something new and get it wrong. It just doesn't. We just say to ourselves, we don't have time to think about being in pain because we got it wrong. We just got to adjust and move forward. Like a lot of the things we do within the team, we'll sit down there and say, well, look, we're going to introduce this new policy. Straight away we say it could be wrong. It could be completely wrong straight away. Like, set that expectation first and say, but do you know what? We're going to try it anyway. Because if we don't do anything, that's worse. So let's just get it in. Could be wrong, and I promise to you is that we'll just change it if it's wrong. We accept that we may be wrong. And my partner gets so annoyed with me all the time because she's like, why are you doing that? It clearly won't work. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. We just got to try and find out if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we'll find out why it didn't work and we can change it. But just by not doing anything and sitting on things, and I think that sort of transpires into how we have conversations with clients as well, is we're really encouraging them to push boundaries. Because what I find a lot with working with clients is that belief, because they're usually working on their own with the sort of market that we're working with. They need somebody in their corner encouraging them, because they might have partners that are risk averse like ours, and that kind of holds them back a little bit. Whereas we're that sounding board that's really encouraging them and saying, look, try it. What's the worst that could happen? And I think clients are really receptive to that. And because of that, they tend to get good outcomes. And with good outcomes, they associate that with working with us. And then naturally, they tell their friends about us. And that's been really successful for us in our approach alone. We don't have, amazing SEO or anything like that. There's nothing online that attracts loads of clients to us. A lot of it is through a referral scheme, and it's just our approach ultimately.
Yeah. Can I add something to that, Sam? Sorry. It's the absolute right thing, what Mike's saying. So I've just been at a PT session now with my trainer's ex-military. So he was a warrant officer in the RAF. And what he explained, and there's loads of evidence of this in the military, which is you're far better off making the wrong decision than no decision. So his analogy he gave to me was, let's say you, come to a river that you need to cross. And it's like, right, where's the nearest bridge? Is it left or is it right? If you stay still, you're more likely to get shot. So just make a decision. It doesn't matter which one you make. So if you go right and then you walk a few miles and you realise, actually, we should have found a bridge by now, therefore we made the wrong decision. You've now got new information, so you now have to turn around and you have to go left instead. But you only get there by making that wrong decision. And what most firms do, and it's a curse of are you an accountant you're an accountant, you might? Yeah. So I don't know if what your full background was, sorry. But there's a curse of accountant thinking, right? So one of the issues with accountants you get is they always want everything to be right. They're always looking for what's wrong and they want everything to be perfect, right? That makes them a great accountant. Like if you're looking at, you're reconciling my account, so you're looking through whatever, my tax return, I want you to find everything that's wrong. I want you to, make sure everything's perfect. The problem is when you then apply that thinking to a business process and you're not prepared to implement GoProposal or change the way that you price until it is all perfect. And what that's the equivalent of is for Mike deciding, right, I need to drive right across Sheffield, but I'm going to wait for every traffic light to be green before I set off. It's like, you'll never move. Just get in your car is step one, right? Turn it on is step two. Get to the first set of lights is step three, and we'll figure out the rest of the journey. And that's what Mike and Gravitate have done really well, which is just getting in the car and getting on with it.
Yeah, we go through red lights, James.
There we go. And if there's walls, we just smash through them. We're not
We go
bothered.
through red lights. There
we go.
You know what I mean?
And James, I always steal one of your famous mottos, which is very much along the same lines of what we've just been talking about there, which is version 1 is better than version none. And those businesses that do want to scale and do want to grow, you have to take that type of mindset and that type of motto quite seriously. Otherwise, you're just going to get nowhere fast.
Yeah.
Awesome, right? We've sort of gone already off on tangent, which I thought we might do, but really useful background and context, I think, and just really interesting to hear, James, your perspective of Gravitate as well. And clearly, GoProposal's been a really key piece of software to help you to get, and not just from the software point of view, but also the mindset that you've been able to work on with Mike, Sam, and the guys and girls at Gravitate to get to where they are today. So, thank you for that bit of insight. The reason why we're all here today is because we at Swoop have just launched our global partnership with Sage, and that includes the amazing GoProposal, Futurely, Auto Entry, etc. So what I wanted to do today is just talk a little bit about why we're having that partnership and why it's important, and then I suppose why you're quite excited about it, Mike. Just want to tap into that and how you see that partnership working, and what it might help you guys to do internally, and also how it can make it easier in the life of your clients. But before we dig a bit deeper into that, I just want to touch on maybe the slightly more dull part of this, or considered to be the slightly more dull part of this, which is compliance, and the compliance that comes around with funding. Most accounting institutes require a certain level of transparency if the accounting firms are accepting commission along the way. There's also the importance of KYC, etc., when you're going through funding applications, and a large part of that falls on the shoulders of the accountants when we're going through those applications. So, James, this is your moment, if you can, just to give us a bit of insight into OverSuite and some of the new products that have come out on GoProposal that are focusing on. Obviously, you've done engagement letters for a long time, but also the new KYC features and AML features as well.
Yeah, sure. So for those that don't know, GoProposal is started out as a pricing and proposal software, and the big deal with that, and the first firm that we developed it for, was to enable every single member of that team to be able to have that pricing and sales conversation with the client. Because it's all well and good Mike or Sam, the firm owner, being able to produce a proposal, but they're not the one dealing with the clients on a day-to-day basis. And so if they're the only ones doing it, what ends up happening is the junior member of the team that the client's just rang up today that says, can you just do this thing for me? Quick, I need it doing today. I've got to have it done. For most firms, because that is such a pain to price, they end up doing it for free. So they don't charge for the work. And in doing so, they're training their client that your services have no value. And on top of that, oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought we froze there, sorry. And on top of that, not only are you doing this work for free, training the clients that you have no value, they won't be producing an engagement letter as a result of it. And so you create this huge imbalance at the core of the relationship where you're doing far more work than you're getting paid for, and you're exposed to unnecessary risk because it's not covered off in an engagement letter. If you don't have all of the correct compliance elements, you could, I guess, well, certainly with AML and various things, at the most extreme end, you could get imprisoned, and then further this way, you could get fined. The likelihood of both those things are happening unless you're kind of really trying to cause some damage and you're being, fraudulent or whatever, is unlikely for most firms. The reality for firms is if you're found to be, non-compliant because you've not got the correct tick in a box or the correct signature on a piece of paper or whatever, what it will cost you is time. Right? So I've heard so many stories when we started to embark into this area of compliance. Of a really good story was of a firm who they were acting for a man and a wife company, but they only had the husband's signature on everything, which was fine until they got a divorce. And when they got a divorce, the wife wanted to know why he'd been authorised to make all these decisions for the business without her say so. So she tried to sue them. She went to the professional body. She went to try to take it legal. Nothing came from it, but the amount of time it took the business owner of that firm to resolve it was over 200 hours. You imagine someone saying, right, I need 200 hours of your time over the next few months. You don't have a choice. You're not being paid for it. Like, it would end a lot of businesses. And so it's so important that you get that right. So what we found with engagement letters is that you get engagement letters from your professional body. They're a set of templates. You're not a legal expert, and unless you have a large compliance team in your accounting firm, what you will attempt to do is to assemble those engagement letters yourself. They look kind of roughly right. You put them in place. They don't get updated regularly, and even if on an engagement letter you get the footer wrong because you've not explained your legal entity correctly, it can void the entire engagement letter, right? Or you can include one line and it can just put you in a really difficult position. So we've worked with the leading experts, and these are the leading experts in compliance and engagement letters in the country, who actually wrote the original engagement letters for all the professional bodies. We have them working with us. They are constantly updating them. They're the kind of now widely recognised as the most stringent engagement letters available on the market, and they give great protection to our clients. And then more recently as well, we've expanded that into AML to complete the full onboarding journey. And when people think about onboarding and client engagement, they think about it as a one-time activity, and it absolutely isn't. It's an ongoing activity. So it's all right doing AML for a client and doing a risk assessment, but the moment they add additional service, or they start dealing with a different country, or they start dealing with cash, or whatever it may be, that risk profile may change. And so what we've developed is this concept, and we've always had this with pricing as well, but is adaptive engagement, okay? And so if a client needs more services from you, the engagement letter needs to adapt. The price needs to adapt. The AML, the risk assessments, everything needs to be adapting continually. And the only way that can happen is if you start to empower your entire team to do it, right? Like Mike's on a webinar now. This is the type of thing Mike should be doing, okay? But there might be a junior member of the team having a conversation with a client today. Well, if they're reliant on Mike to get that engagement letter out the door, it's not happening, okay? And so you can't say, well, we're a cloud expert. We're going to save you time. However, I can't agree to do this work until Mike's off the webinar, and it's going to be Monday now till we do it. Like, it doesn't stack up. And so what GoProposal is, with OverSuite, our engagement letters, and with the AML, is this product that genuinely empowers every single team member, even your most junior team member, to be able to price and sell your most complicated services to your most complicated clients, and make sure they're fully compliant in the process and that everything is as it should be. Did that sum that up right, Mike? That's something.
Very on.
James, I love that. I love that you have the focus on empowering the rest of the team and educating the rest of the team to do it. Because I do think, now I'm on the side, I'm a chartered accountant by background, but now I'm on the side of software. I think there are too many software companies that just focus on the partners and directors of the business, and are not thinking about how things get dripped down in order to allow for ultimate scalability or to get the software out to get it working properly. So
but it's not a business though, then, Sam.
Yeah.
So what it is, it's a job. Most accountancy firms, most firm owners have a job. They don't have a business because it's reliant upon them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's massive, that as well. Like, we used to go out week in, week out at an old firm I used to work for, and we used to see business owners. This is why we've got such a business mindset, is because we used to go and see the business owners day in, day out, and we heard the same sort of problems. It doesn't matter whether you're working in an accountancy practice, you run a creative agency, it doesn't really matter what it is, it's always the same sort of problems, which is freeing yourself up so that your business can grow without you is one of the biggest things. And ever since we set up Gravitate and implementing GoProposal so early on, was because we knew we needed from day one to free ourselves up at some point, hence getting system in play. And we did it from day one because we worked at firms where they couldn't change that after 100 years worth of trading. They just literally couldn't get that signed off. So we knew how important it was to make those quick decisions, bring in the right tools that would enable us, even if it wasn't at that time, enable us in the future to come away from everything. And it really is just like we keep on saying all the time, is thinking like a business owner, not an accountant. I know James asked me earlier, are you an accountant? To be fair, I don't class myself as an accountant anymore. I'm just not. And I don't think I trained as an accountant, but I'm a business owner. As soon as Gravitate was set up, I'm a business owner. I'm not an accountant anymore. I had to do an accountant role for a period of time until we could hire staff, but I've always had that business mindset that I need to have processes and systems, which is softwares like GoProposal, in place so that it's saleable. It is just saleable. And I don't care if somebody said they can get a spreadsheet that can do the exact same. Fine, that's fine. But I know that spreadsheet will change when you pass it on to different members of the team. I know that GoProposal will not change and the sales process will not deviate based on the tool that we use, because it's the same for everybody and it's that same process every single time. And that's why we're so obsessed with it. You know, we could build an Excel, but for us, if I was to buy an accountancy practice, and I saw that Excel, the first thing I would do is just put GoProposal in place anyway. But then I'd think, well, the challenges are I've got to train the mindset of the people that are using it. I've got to make them use it. So it'd be less attractive. If somebody said, do you want to buy this practice with GoProposal versus this practice with a sales system that's outside of a software, I'd be more attracted and inclined to that accountancy practice that's using GoProposal. Because I'm thinking, if they've got that right, what else have they got right as well? That's their mindset straight away from the sales process.
Can that mindset, James, Mike, question to both of you, can that mindset that Mike and Sam so clearly have at Gravitate at the top of the firm, can that mindset be taught?
It can be taught, but it's not a one-off thing. It's something that needs continual training, because what you're talking about is, first of all, it's to do with it goes so deep, Sam. So it's to do with money. So everyone has a completely unique psychology towards money based on who you were born to, when you were born, whereabouts you were born, every experience you've had in life since then. Like, no one has the same psychology towards money. So that's one factor. The other one is people don't value themselves enough. You know, we all have kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Imposter syndrome and inferiority complexes and all these things. We all think, yeah, I'll charge more when I get that qualification, or when we've improved our systems, or when we've done this, or whatever BS kind of you want to come up with, right? So we all have this fear of charging what we're worth because we don't think we're good enough. And then the other thing is we're all averse to sales. Like, we've all experienced terrible salespeople that we hated because they sold us something that was crap, right? And so we don't want to be associated with them. Like, accountants look down on sales. I'm not associated with sales. I don't want to come across salesy. Selling is the highest level of skill you can have in an accountancy business. Because if you speak to an accountant and you say, what do you want to do? We want to impact our clients. We want to give the most value we can. Okay, cool. But in order to do that, you have to sell. Not optional. Like, if a sale is an exchange of value. It's you giving your value to those clients in exchange for them giving you money. And one big issue that firms have is they will deal with them as a client rather than as a person. So they will come in and they will say, right, I was at my previous accountant and I was doing my bookkeeping, payroll, tax returns, etc. Can you help us? And what every firm does, this is what every firm does, right? Yeah, we need to look in your software first just to make sure that everything stacks up. They look in the software. First thing they do, scroll down. How much were they paying their previous accountant, right? First thing they go and look at. And then they'll try and go and pitch a price that's something similar to that. It's useless, absolutely useless, because what needs to happen is a far more in-depth conversation to understand me as a person. If you don't, back when I started before, if you don't understand that I want to take my kids to and from school every day, that Becky wants to leave work, that we want to move closer to our children's school, that I want to go to Lapland that Christmas, that we want to earn this much a month, that I want to sell the business for this amount. If you don't know any of them things about me, there is no possible way that you can be providing me with all the value that you possibly can. And so we have to switch the conversation up with our clients and then have the courage to say, I know you were spending $1,000 a year with your previous accountant, but this is everything you really need. And that's going to be 25 grand a year, moving for $1,000 a year, sorry, versus 25 grand a year. That's what that's going to be. And this is what selling is, helping your clients to make the right decision for them. I'm going to help you to make the right decision for you and to invest at the correct level, because I'm not going to allow you to continue under-investing into the finance function as you have done before.
It's so interesting that you say that as well. the accountant would typically look to the accountancy fees of what you charge to get that ballpark figure, and that's what you did when you didn't have a
I'm
system.
telling you.
You didn't have a process. That's what you did. And the beauty now, you sort of take that fun out of us with GoProposal now. We don't have that fun. We don't care about that number anymore. We do not care about that number anymore because, like you say, that price in that system has been pre-agreed. I cannot change it for the life of me because we don't discount. We don't change those prices. It doesn't really matter what you were paying before because that's my price and there's nothing I can do about it. And that's what our team know. There's nothing you can do about
love
it.
it.
That we've agreed it. It's in there. So, yeah, you can tell me if you want. You can equally not tell me because for two reasons it doesn't matter. One, it's not going to change my price, whereas previously if I didn't have GoProposal, it may have influenced me to change my pricing. It's not going to do that anymore, so it doesn't matter. And secondly, we're going to have a conversation about what you need rather than what you think you need, which is probably what you got before, which is, I think I need this, and you went to the accountant and said, I need accounts at X, Y, Z. Now we're going to have, like you say, James, we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to put services in to meet those goals that you've got personally. And so that's going to change it for another reason. So for us, it really does not matter if you have that price or not. We never ask for it. I dare say we'd never even look for it, even if we did have access to the zero anymore, because it doesn't really matter to us.
Love that. Thank you, guys. Really, really enjoyed hearing a bit more about how you're using GoProposal. And just on that, just to go take it back to the compliance side, Mike, like how much of a focus is that for you guys, or is it just something that is done now because you've got it so embedded in your processes that you don't actually have to worry too much about it? And then from a funding point of view, since we've been working together, a lot of accounting firms worry, they're concerned about whether accepting commissions and things like that. Has that been something you've been concerned about? Are you quite looking forward to have a much more seamless process on that side of things too?
Yeah, it's built within the proposal. Again, when we built out the engagement letters, it's there. So I think one of the things we would have worried about pre-using GoProposal is, have we got it right? You know, because I'm guessing 99% of firms will just download what's on ACCA, implement that, and it might not fit for them, and it might change. So for us, we have absolute reassurance in bringing in partners like Swoop, because we know that we're covered from a compliance perspective. So yeah, it helps us not to question whether we've got it right anymore. We just know we've got it right, and I think a lot of firms are sat there thinking, have I got it right? I think I have, and they might have. It might be right, but it only might be right. Now, we have support from GoProposal and their experts that are fighting in that area, which is a specialist knowledge that we're not just going to be able to employ someone internally just to look at that element of it. So it completely removes any sort of fear of getting it wrong.
Yeah, nice. And just for those who don't actually know what Swoop funding do, I probably should have said this somewhere near the beginning, but so Swoop funding, we partner with accounting firms like Gravitate to get them, help them to grow funding as a service for their clients. So that's across the board of grants, loans, equity, and savings as well. So we're just providing accounting firms with the toolkits to become rock stars for their accountants and to help them navigate what is a pretty tricky current economic environment, but not just by pushing debt on anyone, by giving them all the possible options, the best possible options out there in the market. And that's why we've loved working with you, Mike, is that mindset that you want to help, you want to get your hands dirty and get stuck in with your clients to help them through everything that's been going on and that's been chucked in over the last few years. Can you just give a bit of insight of how you've used Swoop and how you've used Swoop in Tangent already with GoProposal?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to what I said earlier about helping business owners to be braver in their decision making. And when they make certain decisions, it may mean that they need external funding, whether that's bringing in investment or bank funding or looking at potential grants to sort of get projects off the ground. Swoop's really allowed us to be associated with being able to help with those projects. You know, one, giving the client the confidence, two, giving the client the tools, i.e. Swoop, to go and find what they need to find in order to fulfill that project. That's what it's allowed us to do. And it ultimately makes us look amazing because now we're a protocol where we can sort of help with those opportunities now. But the really good thing for me is that we don't have to do as much work in order to get that. So what it really helps us do is old school way would have been I had to go and have loads of contacts and build up a big relationship of different funding partners, and I would have to go and ask them each separately and send information separately to each one of those. But now I've got one portal that we submit our clients' details on there, and Swoop ultimately do that hard work. They are maintaining those relationships. So it's again just one less job I need to do, so I can focus on what I do best. And then our clients get almost like a list of options of what they can sort of go down in terms of funding options. We ultimately want to work with scaling businesses. Scaling businesses need a good finance provider behind them, and if they associate us, not necessarily us doing that work, but us facilitating that, that's key to what we are about, is facilitating the progress of everybody's businesses. And Swoop has been really good in sort of enabling some of these projects to take off the ground. And secondly, I'd say how we use that in conjunction with GoProposal, we do that from day one, because we want to be associated straight away that we can allow that. So as soon as we have that GoProposal meeting, right at the end, there's a couple of services on there we take 5 minutes to talk through. Swoop is on there. We tick it, say, don't worry, it's not costing you anything just yet. I know I've ticked it. It's not a chargeable thing. But what I want you to be aware of is if you do need to raise investment, if you do need to raise some bank funding, or you do need grants, come to us first. Come and see us. We're the experts. We do use Swoop and they facilitate everything, but associate me with being that person for you and your business. They come to us first now. They wouldn't have before. They may have gone to the bank manager. Bank managers don't exist largely now. So they need someone to look to and someone to start with, and that's us. And I think, again, that's part of why we've been successful, is because we are becoming that, not one-stop shop, but that one stop, and then we go and help them shop wherever they need to shop to get what they need, basically.
Yeah, nice. And you guys did have this working really nicely in practice. This might be one of JC's clients rather than your own, Mike, but yeah. We actually supported one of your clients with funding before they'd even signed on the dotted line with you. So they'd seen what the services that you could offer through your proposal. They noticed that you could support them with funding, and therefore asked the question. So we were able to get them a facility in place, and then they signed up with you as a client after. So what sometimes funding and savings, etc., allows you to do is showcase incredible value and something very tangible before they've even started to work with you as an accountant. Yeah,
because you're building trust with these clients. That's part of you doing something, helping them do something. Sometimes like that comes in the form of doing an R&D claim or something like that. Sometimes it's funding, but all you're trying to do is just build that trust straight away from day one. And if you can provide a solution that they wouldn't have even expected you to, they just think, well, what else can they help me with? If they've helped me with that, like, the possibilities are endless here. So yeah, it does really sort of help us to sort of close down on those prospects.
James, there's one thing on GoProposal having a list of all of these amazing services that an accountant can provide. That's not going to go very far just having a big long list. How can an accounting firm bring those to life and really showcase the value for those rather than just going down one by one?
Yeah, so they have to switch up the conversation with the client. So we developed a method called the GLOSS method, which allows them to go through with their client. So GLOSS stands for goals, location, obstacles, speed, and solution. But effectively, what you need to establish first is where are you trying to get to. Like it alarms me. Because I've given many talks to accountants now, and I'll say, how many of you know which of your clients are planning on selling their businesses? And people just don't, like, no one knows. No one can, with hand on heart, say, we know how many of our clients are planning on selling their businesses. So I'm like, well, if you don't know that, like, how can you have put the correct level of service in place? Because the first thing anyone will ask them is, let me see the last 3 years of management accounts. Like, that's going to be your first question. And if, like us, we sold to a PLC, the level of scrutiny is going to be even greater, right? And so if that is an option, then you need to know that. And again, there might be funding involved in that journey as well. So you need to be asking your clients these questions. Where are you trying to get to? Where are you trying to get to personally? What's your goals in life? Do you, like, how many of your clients do you know that they want to put their kids through private education but currently can't afford it? Like, really, like, if you went to an IFA, that'd be one of the first questions they would ask. Like, these are basic questions about their future, because ultimately your clients don't care about your services. Your clients don't care about bookkeeping, tax returns, funding. They don't care about any of that. They care about where they're trying to get to. They care about their own lives. All of these things are just tools to help them to get to that. So we have to switch up the conversation. You have to know where they're trying to get to, where are they now, and what. And then the next question is obstacles. What are the obstacles that's going to prevent you from getting there? Of which there are 5. I'm doing my very best to get these tonight. But the first one's money. Like, is money an issue to get you to where you need to be? Technology, time, people, or experience. Like, it's going to be one of those 5 things, or a combination of those 5 things, that's going to prevent you from getting to where you want to be. But if you don't know where they want to get to, if you don't know where they are now, and you've not discussed the obstacles, you cannot be providing the right level of service to them. And your value in the world is directly proportional to the size of the problems that you can solve. So if you can help them to get to this point, and you can remove those obstacles, one of which is funding, then you become far more valuable for your clients. So that's where it starts with, Sam. And then once you've done that, there's only one solution to present to your clients. Like, I've never believed in this gold, silver, bronze level of stuff. It's, to my mind, like, I had surgery recently on my leg, right? Imagine the surgeon saying, okay, I'm the anaesthetist. How much anaesthetic do you want? I've got my gold, silver, bronze package. Bronze, you're going to wake up halfway through. Like, silver, it's going to hurt a little bit. Or gold, I can knock you out for the entire duration. I'm like, yeah, like, do what you need to do. Like, right, you're the expert. And so what you should have done is to have been a consultative sales process, and then to present the very best thing that client needs. If I were you, knowing what I know, this is everything I would want. And the client doesn't have to take it. They don't have to accept it. But it is your ethical obligation to have discovered that, and then you've got to have the courage to present it fully. And then, final thing, so I will add this, and Mike can confirm this, but then sitting behind those services, from a practical point of view, you then need all of the correct engagement letters and service schedules, which outlines what their responsibilities are, what your responsibilities are, and you need to know that's all taken care of. That has to be happening behind the scenes, right? And so obviously with OverSuite built in, and with the partnership that we've got with Swoop, we can now ensure that all of those service lines, if you're working with Swoop, are fully covered. All of the service schedules are there, so you don't have to stress that. Like, you can just have the discussion, agree the services, and bang, everything's taken care of.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that how you see it working?
Get that as well.
Is that how you see it working as well, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. It all sort of links together. I think that's really what we want it to seem as seamless, and everything is meant to be there. It's not, oh, by the way, we deal with funding. We want it to be there straight away in that proposal process. And I didn't mention it earlier, but another area where people get that validation of coming to us in terms of finance is on our website. So we've recently embedded Swoop into our website as well. So if people see it on the website and then they come to us and we've got an GoProposal and we're doing things and we're marketing about the wins that we're having for clients in terms of raising finance or getting grants, all this association, it has to be everywhere. It does not just one place. It has to be everywhere. So like I say, the website thing's been a really big thing for us, because what we've done there is we managed to embed that into our email signatures now. So that's again going to send them to the website. It's just in their face constantly. And we just want to be seen as that expert that helps business owners scale to exit at some point. And James is right. If you don't know exit or things they want to do up until exit, you're going to miss out on the opportunities to raise finance for them and be associated to those big changes or that big sale at the end. You miss out on all of that. And I think it is so crucial to what we do.
Just before we wrap up, I'm just keen for whoever decides to listen to this to have some key takeaways. And I think what, for me, the biggest thing to focus on here is the power of conversations and communication with clients. And some of that is going to be down to how the rest of your team, Mike, and how the team can have conversations. Have you got any advice or insight, Mike, in terms of how you do that, in terms of empowering the team to have great conversations? And then James, have you seen, what good practice have you seen, or have you got any key takeaways that people can take away to help them have better conversations or to build the confidence to do so?
Yeah, I think it starts from mindset, doesn't it, really? And we always point people in the direction of James's book or the academy. So I think it really starts. So if I owned an accountancy practice now, and I was looking at maybe hours and saying we would quite like, selling to serve.
Oh, what's this here? Just
How does that happen? If I was an accountancy practice owner wanting to really sort of push boundaries, I'd be thinking about working on mindset for my team first and foremost, because if you don't have your team behind you, you're just pushing it on your own, and that's going to be a lot harder. So getting everybody behind you, so getting people to read the book, do the training, the online training, and once you've got the mindset there, it's then introducing the tool that you use, GoProposal, to the team, and really sort of understanding the value of other people selling for you. We had an example where one of our client FCs had only had the access to GoProposal for a couple of months, had access and already 10 times returned the monthly fee within a month or two. And so with the mindset training, then with the tool, get them using the tool by shadowing you and watching how you do it. That it's so nice just to sit back and watch that happen. Like I can't explain how good it is to sit back and see the wahoo's coming in, because what he does, as long as with Swoop as well, having that in there, you really do feel like an expert within the sales process, and it actually makes the sales process fun. It makes it really enjoyable, whereas sales was always nerve-wracking to me before. Now I actually really enjoy sales. So for us, we're doing something really good for our teams, something really exciting. Like people get to a certain milestone where they want to do that next best thing, and selling, if you can make it enjoyable like it is now for us, that's great. You're giving them the tools, it's not scary anymore, it's actually fun. And like I say, having those associations to the other partners like Swoop makes them feel like an ultimate expert, and that client goes away feeling amazing. So for me, if I was an accountancy practice owner, struggling to sort of push them boundaries, doing something like this is just perfect. It's going to set you aside to everybody else, and it will allow you to pass that on to your current team as well, and boost their development, boost their motivation, because they're doing something different.
Just to explain what Mike said, when we get the wahoos coming in, which is not actually normal English for most people, is that a wahoo, when I first set this up for my accountancy place, I wanted it to be exciting when the emails come in. So I had the subject title, which was wahoo, like new clients accepted, right? So it was just a fun thing that I did for my accountancy place. And then it would just end up getting stuck in the apps that everyone else ever got. So everyone then got wahoo email. So wahoo is now a phrase. That means
it's just
a proposal's been accepted.
Like wahoo means that you've won a GoProposal. Like, that's to me, wahoo means nothing else but you've won a GoProposal client. And we send it around in a WhatsApp group to everybody. And as soon as we get one, it's a moment of celebration to share amongst the senior management team that are selling. So we've got a WhatsApp group. We send a screenshot. Well done, Jess. You've won a new client. It's that moment. That's what I mean by the sales process is fun. It's enjoyable to go through the client meeting. Yeah. And it's even more enjoyable when the client signs up. It's enjoyable anyway, but that just sort of signifies that moment, and then you can celebrate that moment with your team. And I know the team love it as well when that wahoo comes in and it's theirs. And what you know is when you celebrate that moment publicly, they're all trying to work harder to get the wahoos. Your conversion goes up. It's amazing. Like it seems like such a small thing, but for us, it's just a great thing of it all to finish off like that.
Do you know what? I was going to tell you this, and I'll actually answer your question, Sam. This is what I'm about to show you now is the best idea that we never took into production, but it's still sat there, which is the Wahoo box, right? So this is a physical box that plugs into in your office, and it's connected to apps by what's it called, Raspberry, whatever it's called, the technology. So the moment a proposal is accepted, within 10 seconds of it being accepted, the box starts to flash and cheer and actually shouts. It's me shouting wahoo is the recording in it. And it just goes crazy. And we had it tested out. I know I'm telling you, right? So we had it tested, but it was one of them things that just never got over the line. So we might bring it out one day. But in answer to your question, Mike's absolutely right. The book Selling to Serve is just a great place for people to start, because it starts to get their mindset right. And you've got to get the whole team on board with this. And then another one is if you just Google gloss method. I've just Googled it now to make sure it comes up. But if you Google the gloss method, you'll get the sales framework that is advocated in the book. But that's a very simple download that you can go and grab now. And it takes you through those 5 sets of questions. It highlights those 5 obstacles that you're trying to help the client to overcome, one of which is money. So these are things, but whenever you train your team in this stuff, training, like I said before, training isn't a one-off thing. Like if you train someone, what happens is they improve, but then they drop back off. Now they won't go quite back down to the level they were at. They will always be slightly ahead, but only marginally. So what you've got to do is, as they start to drop, you've got to catch it again and again and again. And yesterday I was actually talking in the Gravitate office to like 10 wonderful firms about the importance of weekly training. Like there is no reason why you shouldn't be training your team every single week, even if it's 15 minutes, or an hour, whatever you can fit in. You need to be training them and bringing this to their mind every single week to keep them on that trajectory. So the book is a great point of education. The gloss method is a really useful tool as well. And then once you've got that, it's about then implementing GoProposal or whatever it is you're going to do in order to be able to price and sell those services effectively. And that is at the heart of all of this. It doesn't matter what your ambitions are as a firm, whether it's I want to get more clients. Well, if you do that, you need to be better at marketing. And if you're better at marketing, you need money to spend on that. Or I want to expand my team. Well, if you want to expand your team, you need more money to be able to recruit the best people. Or I want a new office, or you need, whatever your issue is, it always comes back to money. And at the heart of that is making sure that the fee that you agree matches the services that you're providing, and that you're maximizing the value with every single client. That is at the heart of most firms' problems. And it's great to work with wonderful firms, as you've said, Sam, like Gravitate, who want to grow, who want to build a great culture. It's just such great buzz when you go into their office, who want to give the most value they can to their clients, who realize that it's not going to be perfect, but they're prepared to get started with things, and just to be part of that journey and to see them constantly grow is wonderful.
Yeah, and start to make those. You said something at the beginning about engagement letters, and they should be a living and breathing thing, not just something that is done once at onboarding and then stuck in a cupboard. Some of the accounting firms that I've worked at in the past literally had their engagement letter from when they first started the journey with their client, and 10 years later it would still be exactly the same, which is not only probably non-compliance with some stuff going on there, but also they're not giving themselves the platform to get closer to the clients and sell additional services on top of what they're doing. And what you guys are trying to get going is that it's a continuous conversation about the relationship. You're constantly reviewing it and looking at extra ways that you can be doing, selling value and maximizing value, and applying other services, which I think it just brings that to life. It makes it a living, breathing relationship rather than one that is just looking backwards all the time. Awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. For those that are interested in finding out a little bit more about the Swoop GoProposal and the Swoop Sage partnership, please do get in touch. We've got some nice special offers as well that are going on, so we'd love to run you through those. But yeah, really excited about the partnership. I think it's going to make a real difference, and love working with GoProposal accounting firms, because they do just have that great mindset for trying to do things a little bit differently. But thank you guys, really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.